Well, hi there. Let's begin, shall we? What time is it? Oh, got a minute left. What's up, Gordo? Steve in England, I see there. What's up, Dragon Rose, Sacha, Dagger Spells, Lunging Mule, James. What is up? Eli gets first on YouTube. Hope everybody's well tonight. Just doing Troubled Minds style stuff. Yeah, anybody ever seen Interstellar? Let's talk about it. Okay, let's see. Go live. All right. Add up some credits on the phone line. It was at -$1. That's never good. All right, here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Yeah. They can send collections after me for $1.35. Anyway, here we go.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
Self-serving. secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening, and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm not feeling great about this one because I think my future self sent a message to the past and said, Mike, this one's not going to be great. Or maybe not. I don't really know. So I don't know. It's strange, right? Inspiration. It's a funny thing. And time travel is one of those odd ideas that really kind of comes and goes in sci-fi circles and all the rest. But, you know, the cutting edge of science is always postulating and theorizing and wondering if not only is it possible to time travel in particular, for people, it's very difficult, obviously. But what if you can send ideas into the past, send ideas to the future from the past, and vice versa? I don't know. This type of thing is really one of those ones that kind of gets at me when it comes to that prognostication bit, the idea of prophetic dreams, the old oracles that we always talk about, these weird ideas of information flow from one end of the temporal spectrum to the other. Now, is it possible? Look, I don't know. I don't know the answers. You guys know me. There's no truth to be found here. This is just ideas. This is kind of looking at the cutting edge of science and considering what we do know and what we don't know. And that's exactly it. So if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. Go find a political podcast. They'll tell you all about the truth because all the political podcasts know all the truths. I don't know. It's weird. It's so strange how they know everything. It's just bizarre. But I don't know everything. I just know some things. And I do know the world is more incredible than we like to give it credit for. And tonight we're talking time travel, retrocausality, in some capacity, the ability to send information to the past. And there's a new paper that's actually sitting, waiting to be peer reviewed. And it is from this New Scientist article. As usual, these articles are linked in the description down below. So if you want to follow up on me and see that I'm not full of crap entirely, I'm really not. But this is sort of a cutting edge theoretical paper that's just been put forward and waiting to be, like I said, taken a look at and run through the ringer. And that's what science is all about. New ideas and kind of testing them and seeing if it's plausible or whatever, right? Super good, super fine. I'm into it. Time travel's great. Having fun. All right. Anyway, so here's the headline. The headline is this: we have figured out a new way to send messages into the past. Well, that's curiouser and curiouser, as they say. So a technique inspired by the film Interstellar suggests a new way of communicating backwards in time, but it could help improve conventional communication systems as well. And I'll read just a little bit. This is paywalled, so we can only get a little bit of it, but there's another version of it that's not paywalled. It's another complete different take on the exact idea, so we'll read from that in a sec. But I wanted to give the credit to New Scientist for always publishing this stuff when it hits and being really the cutting edge of interesting information. So here we go. What if you could send a message into the past? The laws of physics don't forbid it, and in fact, in some cases, communicating backwards in time might actually be easier than the usual direction. The possibility of sending a message to the past emerges from a particular kind of solution to the equations of general relativity, which is our best theory of how space-time, the fabric of reality, behaves. Every object in the universe follows a path through space-time, and one such path that is allowed by general relativity is called a closed timelike curve, or a CTC, which sees an object travel into the future before returning to the past and ending up in the present, forming a time loop. And then it feels appropriate to say, Great Scott, of course, because that's one of the classics. But okay, so lots of questions here on my mind and lots of things really in play because if this is true, or in any capacity whatsoever, if this, kind of works in the quantum consciousness space or not, or whatever, like, I don't know, like how do you beam this? How do you send this? How do you receive this? Like, certainly there's another level of technology here that is really odd, really space age, really turns into something that, like I said, turns into a sci-fi movie, Marty McFly and Back to the Future type of thing, except we're not using a DeLorean. We're sort of using our mind space, the mind's eye, as I like to call it. Some people call it the third eye, whatever. I mean, squint with your third eye and your mind's eye, and maybe, just maybe, some of this will make sense. Anyway, so the wild part about this is that if you're sending information from the future to the past, then the past already knows how to encode it because it's being sent from the future, that the encoding bit is already included, right? You see what I'm saying? Because we knew how it's going to be decoded, and so then we know how to encode it. So vice versa, if you do it in the opposite aspect, we don't know, because then you don't have sort of the the temporal sort of foresight to recognize what's happening as part of that encryption or encoding of the information. Now, I know that's a lot and it sounds weird. I don't know either. Okay. I don't really know. But the question really becomes not just the idea of science being able to do this now or soon, or has it been happening forever? But the question really becomes, as we talk about that signal to noise ratio of, I don't know, telling the future, or maybe the future in kind of drawing the past to it in that retrocausal aspect. And I've talked about this a lot. And, I've done the current president time travel bit a couple times on other shows and stuff. And like I said, it was quite a bit more funny when it was less serious and everybody was ready to kill each other. But it doesn't have anything to do with that, because if we're getting information from the future to the past, what is it telling us? And is it possibly somehow, let's call it some future machine somewhere that recognizes this is a thing, okay? And we can do this in a future, coming soon to a future near you. If we do this, and we can do this, then this machine is actually sending information back in who knows what kind of blocks or smaller areas, or to which individuals, or who knows, maybe you can send back like an entire zeitgeist full of information that draws that past to that predestined future because of the information flowing. But look, I know it's a lot. It's a big mouthful there, and I don't even know if it's real. However, if you go back into history, you see that there's a lot of this stuff going on. People that can see the future, the Joan of Arc stuff, the oracle, the Pythia of the old Greek and Romans, and it's strange to me. But also that signal to noise in our dreams, in our prophetic dreams, it does imply that there is a way to communicate somehow, or at least retain or gain information from one temporal aspect or bookend to the other. Now, am I saying you could communicate to a caveman in 30,000 BC or something? Like, I don't know about that, but maybe you could. I don't know. So how weird does it get? Basically, that's the question tonight, and we're going to talk about this, and maybe not to get into Marty McFly and Great Scott and the rest of that. But I do think there's a through line here that makes some sense in a more contemporary movie known as Interstellar. Many of you have seen this. I begged you guys to see it because it's really good. And you really should. If you haven't seen Interstellar, I give it like a top 10 of all time, in my opinion. It's just so good. But also, a little bit of spoilers on that. So we'll talk about that when we get back from the break. But basically, if you send information from the future to the past, how would you do that, and what would the medium look like? And how would the recipient in the past even recognize that's what was happening? Okay, so we'll talk about Interstellar and how that happened in that movie when we come back. I'll try not to do too many spoilers on it because it is just too good. It is just way too good for me to spoil such a great piece of cinema by just you hearing about me talk about it on a podcast. So I'll do my best to keep it tight and not ruin it. But anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. Do not go anywhere. This one is brought to you by Human Inspiration. See you on the other side of the break. Be right back. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, Human Inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable. So here I sit, locked in my room again. composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, now back to Interstellar. Now, Interstellar, like I said, very good movie. Going to do my best to keep it tight and not ruin it. However, there is a scene in the beginning of this movie where we are getting sort of this retrocausal aspect. And how would you get the attention of somebody in the past? Okay, now clearly, how would you know? I mean, really, how would you know? And in this particular case, there's anomalies, gravitational anomalies that are appearing in particular places. And those particular places lead to some clues that kind of are dragging that past to that predetermined future, to the best version of the future, where the idea that you could pass information back is actually there. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say. That's no spoilers on that. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Like I said, it's way too good of a movie for me to just ruin rambling on a podcast. So please go watch Interstellar. That's what we're talking about. But think of it this way. If you were sending information back and trying to get somebody's attention, gravity seems like not a bad idea. Some gravitational anomaly. It might show up in maybe a scientific reading, or it might show up in a particular, bedroom, for instance, or whatever. If you're trying to get somebody's attention in a particular way, it seems like maybe that might be a good idea, or one of the ways you could do that. Of course, you would have to be able to manipulate gravity and space-time and, all the other mumbo jumbo that's really difficult to do. And we have no idea how to do that at this point. Or do we? I don't know. As usual, you know me. Many questions, few answers, and that's what this is all about. We are taking your calls tonight. If you want to be part of the conversation, the number to call, of course, is 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Come say hi. Come meet me and all these amazing people that make this show go. Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. Just come hang out. You don't have to talk. You can type, just kind of like the old school chat rooms. We were talking about IRC recently and ICQ and some of the old, internet, old versions of the chat. This is like a new version of that where it's persistent and it's just cool. Come say hi. Come meet me and the rest of these amazing folks that make this show go. If you haven't done that yet, many of them are active on the Discord. Again, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link right on top. You can see it right there. It's a big blue button. You cannot miss it on the website. Okay. I don't know. How weird does it get? And do you really think it's possible to send information from the future or from the present to the past? I don't know. It gets weird. And in this paper, they're talking about quantum stuff, and we'll get to the quantum loops and sort of the resolution of this, and as yet to be peer reviewed, but that's okay. A philosophical construct in a conversation doesn't need to be peer reviewed at all. Let's just talk about it. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James in Michigan. What's up, my man? Salcedo Paranormal. You're on Troubled Minds. Thanks for popping in here. As usual, the glue of the show. How are you, sir? What's on your mind? And go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Good. Yeah, this is a fascinating thing. Time to me is just in general a fascinating thing to me because I have had some anomalous experiences, I think, involving that over the years. And a lot of them take place in dreams, as far as I can tell. It seems like they're also out-of-body experiences, but they connect to future events because basically what happens, and it's funny because I've talked about this now, the last couple of shows I've been on, not the last one directly, but just recently in the last few days, where I had a dream of a place at one point that I did not recognize. I'd never been there before. And I wandered around a little bit and then everything faded and I eventually fell back asleep again and woke up and thought that was a really vivid dream. Then either months or even years later, I'd end up going to that place. And it wouldn't be exactly the same because most of the time in those dreams or out-of-body experiences, there was no one around in those places when I went there. But then when I went there in person, I was with people and there were other people around. But it was the place that I had seen in that earlier dream experience. So I have no idea if that was my future self somehow sending something back to me or not, or a higher self doing that, or why, how or why, because it's not like these experiences were all huge, major, important parts of my life. It's not like they were major life events in any case, in any of them that I can think of. So it's really fascinating. So that's kind of my entry, my sort of angle to all this, personally anyway.
Yeah, well said. And one of the things, too, that comes to mind when we do talk about time travel, time dilation, this type of thing, it does really harken back to what you're describing in that dream realm, is that it's one of those things where you can have a dream for 20 minutes and it feels like you've been in there for a week, or vice versa, right? You could have a nice long slumber and feel like the dream you were in was so quick and so crazy fast that you couldn't really describe what it was, because the details just whisked by faster than a human mind could kind of put the pieces together. So I think it definitely plays as part of this. And as usual, look, when you start to put the larger context of all the ideas together, that might be one of the ways. Like think of it this way. Like I'm talking Interstellar. I know you've seen that movie, right? Interstellar.
Oh yeah, yep. I remember a while ago you recommended it, and recommended it again, and then recommend. I'm just kidding. I'm not done.
I did. I twisted James's arm. I'm like, James, you will never ever get to be on Troubled Minds ever again if you don't watch this movie tonight. And he's like, okay, Mike, I get it. I get it. Just kidding. That didn't go down, but I did put a very heavy pressure game on out on the Troubled Minds fam to watch that movie because it's that good. But in that particular movie, like I said, one way that they did it is through gravity, sort of a gravity anomaly. But another way you would do that, it would be through the dream space, right? Because it's something that's abstract enough that we recognize it, we remember it enough that I only get the my news from the cryptic symbolism in my dreams, the only reliable source. Shout out to Derek the Night Stalker. But I mean, it is one of those things where it's that might be the space. That might be one of those transmission avenues where you would be able to do a retrocausal aspect, at least information wise. So, I mean, look, I don't know. You know me. If I knew the answers, I'd just tell you the answers and the show would be over. And then we'd all go home and we'd be like, yeah, we got some answers. But I'm not saying they would be right answers, but they would be answers. Anyway, I digress, but you get the idea. So maybe a gravity anomaly. What are some other ways? Let's think about this sort of in the larger context of the past, the present, and the coming future of humanity. And maybe there is a more obvious way where this is happening. That becomes the weird part, is that dreams, I think, are an obvious sort of that paranormal-esque avenue for transmitted information from the future to the past, again, conceptually. But are there more? What else you got regarding that, James? Fire stuff. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too, how often do we have dreams that we don't remember? Because there's so many dreams that we from what we hear, we don't remember them. But then, how many do we have of those that are these messages from the future, and that send ideas to us or messages to us that we don't get consciously, but then when certain events happen in our waking life, we get a weird feeling about them. And maybe that's that message that came through that just didn't come all the way to the surface until whatever the event is that happens takes place.
Yeah. And like I said, this one is so off the beaten path here that really quantifying it is difficult. And so bear with me on describing this because, like I said, it is a theoretical paper. It has not yet been peer reviewed. And this is wild stuff. If you got more, James, go ahead. If not, I can read a little bit from the blurb here and fill in some of the details for the people that want the science here. Because like I said, it is over my head, because if it wasn't, I'd be, sending messages to myself in the past and then maybe changing my future. I don't know. Anyway, what else you got?
I think I have another story, but it may be a little bit too long for the time we have left here, that it possibly does involve time travel. But I do wonder as well if people are having sort of out-of-body experiences, and this is sort of a hint to what I might talk about later if there's time. When you have an out-of-body experience, are you limited to traveling around wherever you're at in just the present time, or can you travel, or do you end up traveling through time? Because if you could do that and then maybe affect reality wherever you're at in those different times, maybe that is another way another part of that whole dream connection to the sending messages back to the past somehow, or even the future.
Yeah, who knows? That's what we're talking about. Let's go to the science here. So this is straight from the write-up again, troubledminds.org. On the very top, it says follow the Troubled Minds newsletter. You'll find all the write-ups there and all kinds of other super cool stuff. Please go give it a follow. It is free. It will pop up and say, do you want to pay? Just say no if you don't want to pay and just get it for free. Here we go. There's a paper sitting in the queue at Physical Review Letters, authored by researchers at Cornell and MIT that does something unusual for physics. It does not merely propose, it calculates. Specifically, it calculates the capacity of a quantum channel to carry information backward in time, from a sender in the future to a receiver in the past, through what the authors call a noisy post-selected closed timelike curve. I'll say that again, because for you guys taking notes. A noisy post-selected closed timelike curve. The math works. The channel capacity is real, and buried in the paper's framing is something that should stop anyone familiar with anomalous cognition research cold. The sender already knows how the message was received before they send it. That memory, that foreknowledge of the decoding, is precisely what makes the encoding more efficient. The future informs the past. The signal already knows. And as I'm talking about here, so the authors reached for Christopher Nolan's Interstellar to make this intuitive. The father, I'm not going to read it. Don't read the second paragraph if you don't want the spoilers. But he can optimize his encoding because he carries a memory of his family members' decoding. The loop is self-consistent, self-correcting, and in the framework of the paper establishes informationally superior to ordinary forward time communication. Okay, like I said, this is heavy stuff. What did Marty McFly say? This is heavy. And Doc wanted to know if there was some kind of gravitational issue in the future because he kept saying heavy, the old 80s jokes. Anyway, you get the idea. This is certainly heavy stuff. But of course, if we're able to do this in any particular way whatsoever, maybe, just maybe, that retrocausal effect is true and in play and always manipulating us in ways that we cannot or will not ever be able to quantify until the moment when that machine arrives to be purchased at, I don't know, dropped off at your house from Amazon or something. I don't know, right? And then you start dialing in, and then you start affecting your own past, which affects your own future. I don't know. I think that level of societal sort of a gamification of time itself might be, what did they call it in Back to the Future? Catastrophic, I believe was the word. Anyway, love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Do you think this is possible? Or do you think this, again, once again, you know, like I like to look at these ideas as being maybe real, but also maybe not. And is it just us telling each other stories to pass the time? As usual, that human resonant energy certainly plays. But what do you know about time travel? What do you know about information coming from the future to the past? What about those channels? How would we do that? And not only that, do you think it's possible at all? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear your thoughts on this. It gets weird, but that's okay. I'm not scared, and neither are you. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
I woke before the phone rang. I knew the name before I read it. There was a word I hadn't heard yet, but somehow I had said it. I stood at the window, watching something that hadn't happened. A shape in the static, a signal I hadn't planned. The message moves backward. The channel prefers it that way. The sender already remembers what the receiver will say. Already sent, already known. future is writing the letters you're shown. You thought you were waiting, but you were the wire. Already lit, already fire. The oracle breathed in the gap where the chasm was open. She named the thing coming before it had chosen. The body recoils a half second before the image. The skin reads the signal. The mind hasn't bridged it. The message moves backward. The channel prefers it that way. The sender already remembers what the receiver will say. Already sent, already known. The future is writing the letters you're shown. You thought you were waiting, but you were the wire. Already lit, already fire.
That one kind of sounds like it could be an Interstellar. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. What's up, Herschel, Dragon Rose? We got Joe in Florida. James, you're the best. We got Daryl. What's up, Dagger Spells? Sacha, Apoc, Matzel, Robert, Lunging Mule. You guys are incredible. Thanks for being consistent and, like I said, daring to deal with my rambles on a nightly basis. What's up, Eli? James, Dragon Rose, Stephen England is here. What's up, Matzel? Is that you on the cover picture? No. What are we talking about? Oh, maybe. What's up, Joe in Florida? Herschel. Good evening, guys. If I missed anybody, Richard in Texas, I see you there. If I missed anybody, just say hi as we go. Sweets, again, thanks for being the other glue of the show and sharing everything in all the places. Appreciate that. What's up, Jen? Hope you're feeling better soon. What is up? I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for being cool and chill. If I missed you, like I said, just say hi and I will circle back and try and include you. What's up, Margie? Gordo Sweets. We got Puff. A Puff sighting. Thanks for pinning James and all the rest of the stuff over there, guys, on Rumble. Here we go. See Karimos there. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. I'll catch you on the second time around. Hold on to your butts. Here we go. Oops, got to find the right button now. Let's see. There it is. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, a paper just accepted at Physical Review Letters calculates the capacity of a quantum channel to send information backward in time. The kicker, the sender already remembers how the message was decoded before they encode it. The future informs the past. The signal already knows. Now, how ridiculous does that sound? Now, one way, of course, as we're describing this and talking about these ideas, is very smartly, James brought up the idea of the dream realm as being one of these receivers. One way that, let's say you could do this in an informational space from the future through technology somehow. Maybe not a quantum consciousness level technology, but let's say a machine. You're able to build some like little box that sits on your desk and dial in yourself or something to the past to a particular point in time and send a message. Like I said, probably the most reliable way to do that would be to tune it into your dream space. That way, when you did fall asleep, you know your old sleep schedule because it's you, and you can then sort of tune it into the mind space of the dreamer. Maybe, right? I mean, I can see something like that actually happening as part of it. We'll dig deeper into that because I think it is worth exploring further. But what do you guys know about this? Like I said, I really love the idea of retrocausality, but it also flies in the face of all the fate and all the things that free will and all the things that we've talked about in the past as part of these larger contextual conversations of what it means to be human. And fate itself is not something to be messed with, FAFO, they say. And I think in terms of fate itself, that's one of the ones you don't want to piss off because it has a way of coming to get you. It has a way of, we've got stories, warnings that go back thousands of years where fate itself is tempted. Fate itself is tried to be circumvented by all manner of mortal machinations. However, fate in the end always wins. Why is that? There's a warning, of course, those ancient warnings, but why is it? And is it interesting that you can't get away from it? That maybe that signal from the future is so strong that we're just following in its footprints, and maybe that's why we're so frustrated. Well, I'll speak for myself. Why I'm so frustrated with humanity. It's like, can't we? It's 2026, guys. Can't we shake out of this and be better for each other? Can't we? I mean, talking about a societal level, there's plenty of amazing individuals out there and smaller groups, but you get what I mean. Anyway, wild stuff. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. One more time, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Anything to add, James? We got Herschel on the line, so if you got the story to tell, you tell me. You can. We'll make time for you tonight. Of course, I want to hear this tale, but you decide. You decide where you want to take this right now, and we'll take it there.
I think I can take care of the story like in, I don't know, about five minutes or so, maybe at 10 at most, if that'll work. Because I had this dream about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago about my grandparents' house. And, but I found myself there, and it felt real, like a lot of my out-of-body experiences do. And there was this older couple there. Older man, older woman, and I didn't recognize them. But so I had this dream about being there, and they were aware of me, and they asked me to leave because it wasn't my house. And so I did. Now, going back several years to when I was a kid, my cousin and I one day happened to be walking by the staircase leading up to the second floor. We saw this transparent woman standing on the landing of the stairs in front of the window. And she was wearing a blue dress with a white apron. Turns out my grandma and my dad had also seen this woman, apparitions of this woman, in the house years earlier. And my grandma found out who it was by visiting the neighbors. Apparently, the house that my grandparents moved into was originally built for the neighbor's mother. They had a picture of her, of this woman in the same dress and apron in their house. And but what's amazing is I wonder, and this is something that came from talking with friends, speaking of Discord earlier, on the Discord, did this woman recognize me somehow years later after I somehow traveled back in time to when she was alive there, and basically she always stuck around that house after she passed because of a love of that house, and there was never anything negative about when we saw her, and it felt like I don't know, it felt like almost like she recognized me when I first saw her. Like she knew who I was somehow, which is really odd. So that's basically it. Did I somehow go back in time and in an out-of-body experience and meet this couple, or this man and woman? I don't really know for sure they were a couple, but in their own house, because it was their own house at the time, and then years later see an apparition of her a few times in that same house along with my cousin.
Which would close that loop, the information loop. So it's from the future and then recognized from the past as you're sort of bridging the gap through the mind space, through the dream space, right? Or was this, am I misunderstanding? This wasn't a dream at all. This was something experienced by people. Explain. Sorry, I'm doing three things at once here.
No problem. The out-of-body experience wasn't a dream, but then the other sightings were in waking state, and for myself and my cousin, but also for my dad and my grandma. We all saw the same woman in the house several times over the years and didn't realize each other had seen her until I basically broke the ice one day talking to my grandma about weird stuff and weird experiences I had, and found out who it was from her.
That's wild. And that is part of that, the older tale we talked about with that human resonant energy, right? That I pointed out in the past, The same similar story, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm locked in. I got it. Okay. So I appreciate you clarifying for me. Now, wild stuff afoot here, because once again, maybe that's the closed loop, and there needs to be sort of a recognition one way or the other through that communication aspect. I don't know. And I think let's say, let's throw the paranormal stuff out the window for just a second. Everybody calm down, settle down, James. Don't get the urge.
I'm out of here. No, I'm kidding.
Don't get the urge. But let's just throw it all out and say that history is wrong about all of it, and then consider that maybe, just maybe, it's some sort of actual time dilation instead, some sort of this retrocausal aspect of information coming from the future to the past to communicate with us somehow that we recognize as a paranormal event. Maybe, right? And again, now let's bring the paranormal back into the conversation, into the mind's eye, and consider all the things, because who really knows, as usual, right? It just depends on what you, and I always talk about belief in the sense of, the human spirit, or, the human soul, this type of stuff. Some people believe it's real, some people don't. And so I want to be able to look at both of those things, and then consider that maybe, just maybe, this is a particular place where both of these ideas might play, just depending on how the universe turns when it comes to the idea of the future and the past. I don't know. Anything else, James? And then we'll go to Herschel in Arizona.
No, that's basically it as far as I have on that one. And if I think of anything else later and there's time, I will talk to you then.
You are the best. You know him, you love him. SalcedoParanormal.com. Please go check out all the stuff. Go buy his books. Pretty please. His latest book's only $10. You can get it on Amazon tonight. They'll deliver it tomorrow, and that's just the way it works, auto-magically. We're talking, I'm calling this tonight, what is it? Already received. Tuned to a future signal. And basically, look, we're just talking retrocausality. It's one of my favorite topics, to be perfectly honest, because when you look at the science of this, we're still, fumbling. We're still trying to figure out what the hell all this means about time, about causation, not let's say in the most basic sense, but in the larger context of where we're coming from, where we're going, and all the rest. But anyway, what do you know about it? Is it possible the future is sending information back that leads us to that predetermined future? Flies in the face of everything we talk about as far as fate and determinism. But what if it's not? What if this is exactly where we're supposed to be at exactly the right time by some masters from the future, masters of the universe or something? Anyway, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. So let's go to Herschel in Arizona. Commercial Herschel, what's your brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? And go right ahead.
What about, I don't know. I knew that I was going to read this story that I'm going to read to you. I knew it. I had it drawn up the other day because something was telling me I got to get this story ready. I'm not kidding.
So
really?
So no, I believe you. So let's take that to the ends here. And the maybe you from now, or you from the coming future, thought it was an important temporal moment that this gets ready for tonight as part of this, to maybe make the case.
It could be different things. It could be morphic resonance, like just in general, like. But the other thing is, and I've said this in other things, and I've written stuff on this, is that time is an event that we perceive in a linear fashion due to our very, 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 short existences. So when we're thinking about things or imagining things, or things are coming to us like out of the bolt of the blue, they could be coming from anywhere. They could be coming from the past. They could be coming from the future. They could be coming from a parallel universe. Like they could literally, like some of the things that we imagine, like as a future technology, we're actually trying to recall from a past epoch. Like I don't have any doubt about that. No doubt, as Uncle Rico says, no doubt in my mind.
Okay, perfect. I dig it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it could be all of those things. The other thing too is there's a gal I did a show on the Ark of the Bard, a writer. Her name was Brownell Landrum. and I don't remember what number it is, but if you go to the Arc of the Bard at my thing, at my Substack, just look up Landrum or Brownell and just look through. It was probably like 4 or 5 episodes ago. She writes a book on reincarnation, like a historical fiction about reincarnation. And a couple who keeps reappearing to finish their work, like a romantic couple who keep reappearing through time as different people to finish the work that they're supposed to do. And she touches on this idea too of them leaving cookie crumbs for themselves. Like, it's really cool. She's a cool lady. You guys should check that out. Brownell Landrum, that was her name. But let me read this story. It's just a goof. It's a fun, one of my little weird microfiction stories. It's called Time Capsule Twist. If you were a kid and you went to public schools, you maybe put a time capsule together. So that's what this is about. And it goes like this. Can you think of another item you would want to find if you found a time capsule? What would be a cool thing to find in the future? Go ahead and call some out, the teacher, Mrs. Nice, asked the kids. They started shouting out their ideas. A Cabbage Patch doll. A Trapper Keeper full of homework and drawings and school supplies. A calculator, one child shouts. Principal Dickman, one student yells, and all the kids laugh. Do you really think the kids of the future would like to see a calculator? Why would they like that? Asks Mrs. Nice. So they can see the kind of technology we have. I bet the calculators in the future are going to be very small. Everything is going to be smaller. Telephones will be tiny, the student said. That's very interesting, the teacher responds. I know what they have in the future, says Johnny Harris. Me and my dad found something from the future in the woods. It's like a knapsack, and there was a bunch of stuff in it. Are you sure? That sounds silly, Johnny, Mrs. Nice says. There's a little thing, it's like a rectangle screen thing, and we could figure out from the pictures and the words that it was a telephone, but there were no wires, and it needed a password or it needed some code to get in it, and then it turned off. It had a battery that we could plug it into, but that ran out. And another big rectangle too, but it was something for doing more things than just talking, and it folded, and we could never get that to work. But we could see that it had a lot of stuff by the pictures on the screen. It ran out of power too. Then there was a metal water bottle and some really cool sunglasses and some super weird looking clothes that were smooth and shiny and just some socks and all that. Mrs. Nice responds, that sounds interesting, but how did you know it was from the future? We found a slip in there from a gas station and an address where there's nothing there, but it had the date on it, and it was from 2025, Johnny said. I don't believe you, says another kid, and some of the other kids laugh, and some of them shake their heads at Johnny in disapproval for his fibbing. Mrs. Nice says, it's fun to tell stories, Johnny. We know, but we know that story is just having some fun, right? It's okay, Johnny says. My dad told me not to say anything, but he also said no one would believe me anyway, so I figure what's the difference? The class and the teacher continued preparing the time capsule, and in just a little while, there was someone outside the room asking for the teacher. Mrs. Nice went out there to see them. A couple of kids can see the hallway from their seats, and they describe two men in dark suits and weird glasses. Mrs. Nice pops back in the door. Johnny Harris, can you come here, please? 505 words.
Nice. I love that. And yeah, obviously he's telling the truth here. He's telling the truth as evidenced by the Men in Black. I mean, that is adorable. It's so poignant to what we're doing tonight. And it is one of those tales that it does come up. And, you hear some of these sort of anecdotes on the internet and, people doing all kinds of stuff like this, telling similar tales, but they're true, right? They're real. They profess that these things are real and these things really happened and, all the rest of it. But I mean, I don't know, as usual, me and the ifs and the whats and the whys, and it's difficult, but that I do know. The one thing I do know is that story, sir, is fire.
Thanks. It's a fun one.
Absolutely.
It is cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cute little kid story. Yeah.
100%.
Cool. Well, dig it, everybody. Have a really nice night, and thanks, Mike, for the great show. And, I don't know, but,
Oh, I know. I definitely know. This time I do know. But okay, wait. So if before you go, just a quick question on this. If there was some level of technology, do you think it would be sort of that dream space, or do you think it would be something different, as they're describing, sort of a quantum channel somehow of a closed loop and, the signal and noise ratio we're always talking about? It makes the most sense to me, as James said when we started, that it is the dream space that where it might be the most obvious place where this kind of comes through, because it would be wobbly enough of what we remember from it, but also maybe just enough of it gets through where that signal versus the noise is prescient, it allows us to see part of that future. I don't know. What's your take on that, the dream space? Or do you think it's maybe we have a true time capsule at work here?
Well, no, I do definitely think there's something to that liminal thing, and that there's different ways to access that. And, I'm not talking about drugs necessarily. I mean, I wrote one of my books with just by making myself delirious from tiredness and forcing myself to stay awake and taking little puffs of nicotine to keep myself awake while I wrote in a delirious state, just to get into that space and to see what was going to happen, so I don't, there's definitely something to that, but I really do. I mean, I don't really know, but I really think that what enters our consciousness is not limited to our linear experience of time. Just because we're experiencing time in this linear form during this infinitesimal moment that we are each alive, that doesn't mean that the things that we perceive are limited to that. So things that we imagine, or things that we reach for, or things that we can be accessed from the past, from the future, from other dimensions. We just aren't perceiving it that way, because we're just like a scratch on a desk as we go along. But at the same time, that makes us even that much more significant, that we experience consciousness, and in the context of space and time, size is relative. Consciousness can't be it can't be measured by size. It's an energy. So just because we're little and we're infinitesimal doesn't mean we're insignificant. That is BS. We are significant. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Well said. Well said. And I've been watching The Twilight Zone recently, some of those older episodes, and that beginning part that Rod Serling says at the beginning of this, I mean, this is exactly what we're always talking about, that there's a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It's a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. And that's all of this. The dimension of imagination itself is not just these conversations, but then how all of that comes together in the past, the present, and the future. And of course, in this moment, fire stuff. Appreciate it very much. Unless you got anything else, you're the best.
I'm good. Everybody have a good night. I'm going to go crack a bottle of lubrication.
Cheers. Cheers to that. Commercial Herschel. You know him, you love him. The name of his Substack is Commercial Herschel. Very, very simply search it. You will find him. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It is alphabetical, and you will find Herschel there as well. Click that. You'll find his link tree, the sexiest link tree in the game. Click it, and it'll bring it up, and you can find all the stuff he's working on. Please go support him in all the ways. Go check out his podcast. Go buy his books. Go follow his Substack. Go do all the things. Let's help our friends. That's what this is always about. And I love that story. And again, so he knew he had to finish it somehow because he was going to have to read it on the show here. Tonight's show, right? So there you go. How does that tell you maybe the future informing the past? Anything on that, James? Anything on the story or anything else? And we'll take a quick break and get back and talk to the Robert.
Yeah, great story. And I do think, so often imagination sort of gets written off as, well, it's just that. It's just making things up. But I think that it's also how we connect things. It's how we connect some things to other things. It's how we come up with ideas for things as a species, I would guess. And that's fascinating. And I mean, there are people that have experiences out there with people that appear to be from other times, the past or the future. I've even heard rare accounts of people sort of not realizing it, but going through some kind of a portal into other times and seeing futuristic looking cities where there were none before. And then, fleeing because they feel like they don't belong there. And then, of course, they get back to that area eventually, and it's just a regular place. It's not futuristic. So time itself is, I think, anomalous. And who knows? I do think there is something to that whole idea of when you're writing or when you're doing any kind of art, you may not just be making things up out of your own mind. You may be picking up on things from other places and other times.
Yeah, sort of the weird chemistry of coincidence that kind of happens. And, we've talked about this in the past quite a lot. Maybe it is coming from somewhere. Maybe you were supposed to write about a particular character because maybe that particular character exists somewhere and they're informing you about who they are, about what they should be doing, about how they should operate in your story. And again, like I said, if you don't believe that, that's fine. I'm not sure I do either. But when you think about where ideas do come from and these old ideas of the muses and the things we always talk about, it does make me wonder what the hell's actually going on. And it fits very well with that theme of the Twilight Zone, the dimension itself of imagination. And that puts us right where we need to be because, of course, we're talking retrocausality. I'm calling this tonight already received, tuned to a future signal. Now, do you think that's possible? Again, there's a interstellar thread that plays through this. I'm not going to talk too much about that, like I said, because I don't want to spoil it. It's too good of a movie to just hear me ramble on about whatever the hell that is. Go watch it. You will thank me for that. Trust me. Go watch that movie, or I'm cutting you all off. I don't even know you anymore if you haven't seen Interstellar. No, I'm just kidding. Please do check it out. But after the show's over, tonight we're taking your calls. I'm calling this already received, tuned to a future signal. What do you know about retrocausality? What about information flowing from the future to the past? Real, nah, or somewhere in between? Be right back. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A new study is raising profound questions about what psychedelics actually do to the human brain, and the answers may be more physical than anyone expected. Researchers found that a single 25 milligram dose of the active compound in magic mushrooms produced measurable anatomical changes in the brain that were still detectable a full month later. Using a brain scanning technique that tracks the movement of water along nerve fibers, scientists observed that certain nerve tracts appeared to grow denser and more robust following the experience. Participants also reported deeper psychological insight and improved well-being in the weeks that followed. The study, led by Professor Robin Carhart Harris of the University of California, San Francisco, involved 28 healthy volunteers who had never previously taken a psychedelic substance. Carhart-Harris described the findings as remarkable, noting that seeing potential structural brain changes a month after a single dose of any drug is essentially without precedent. Importantly, researchers noted that the changes observed ran counter to what is typically seen in aging and dementia, suggesting the drug may be producing effects that are, at least in some measurable sense, restorative. The team also explored the idea that brain activity becomes more varied and flexible under the influence of psychedelics. While the findings remain preliminary and the full implications are not yet understood, they add weight to a growing body of research suggesting these compounds could hold real therapeutic potential for conditions like depression, anxiety, and addiction. Scientists believe these substances may work by breaking destructive patterns of thought and promoting cognitive flexibility, and now, there may be a structural explanation for why. The research was conducted in collaboration with Imperial College London and represents one of the more rigorous looks yet at what happens inside the brain long after the psychedelic experience itself has ended. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. That was not supposed to be like the entire commercial on that one thing, but I mean, whatever. AI doing its work. I had 4 articles in there and it just did one. Anyway, I'm not super into that, as you guys know, but it's good information, I guess. What's up? Hope everybody's well tonight. If I missed you in the chat, now's your time. Say hello. I'll say hi back. What's up, Herschel? Thanks for the call. You're the best. James, also the best. Appreciate you guys very much. Derek the Night Stalker, Matt Sal, I see you there. Dragon Rose, APOC, Epoch, not to be confused with APOC. We've got Daryl, what's up? Joe in Florida, Lunging Mule, Sacha, Dagger Spells, the Robert coming up next, Kramos, I see you guys, Notables Radio, Margie, Puff, we got Cubs Future, Sweets, how you doing? Good evening, guys. Hello, Gordo is over there, Theo, hello, lots of great chat. You guys are lighting it on fire per usual, and I appreciate you very much. Thanks for hanging out and being part of this. And who did I miss? Let me scroll. So much chat. It's good. These the beautiful part about these shows is that they kind of take on a life of their own in the conversation, but then each chat kind of has its own life of its sub-life of its own as part of the larger conversation and the smaller side chat in the different spaces. It's just super cool. And then the write-up itself is its own sort of, kind of backbone to the piece. It's just like everything really spins off of just a weird conversation by Dark of Night, and I absolutely love it. Who did I miss? Sacha, I see you there in the chat. I hope everybody's well tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us so much. Jake, welcome. How are you? Good evening. I think you pasted your stream key in the chat, or what is that? What is that? You might want to delete that, or whatever that is. What is going on? So much, Jake. I love the name. Ioxy's here. Good evening. Yeah, Ioxy has a great point. One bump on the head away from time being totally different, and that is a fact, right? Our antenna, if it's let's say just maybe tuned differently, or the old conch on the head, could change everything. The way we experience and perceive time itself. What's up, Jen? I see you there. Like I said, hope you feel better. That sucks to be have a cold. I'm lucky I stay away from people most times, so I dodge that mostly. Well, what's up? Good evening, Dragon Rose. We got Richard in Texas. What's up, Sweets? Like I said, if I missed anybody, just say hi, and I'll say hi as we go. Let's do it. Trouble Minds happening now. Let's check kick, make sure we're good there. I think it's running. Okay, just somebody trying to sell me views. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. Hold on your butts. We got the Robert coming up in your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this already received, tuned to a future signal. Do you think it's possible to send information from the present or the future to the past? Now, we've talked about this a lot in the past and, of course, in the present, and maybe we also will in the future. So we're certainly charging up the gangplank the wrong way in this capacity. But I do think it's interesting to note that the receiver in this space is it's ambiguous. It's weird. Again, go watch Interstellar. You'll know what I mean. Not going to spoil the movie. It's too good to spoil. But there's a bit in this where the gravity anomaly is the communication aspect. And as we talked with James earlier, the dream realm might be one of these other conduits of where this information could flow through one way or the other. Maybe it comes from the past to the present and into the future as well. Who knows? Maybe it is a two-way street of the closed loop. I don't know. As usual, it's highly theoretical stuff. And like I said, if you don't believe any of this, that's fine. Because like I said, until it's proven in a lab and put next to it in a zoo next to an alien and a Bigfoot, well, what do we do with it other than talk about it? Welcome back. Anything to add, James? And we'll get the Robert on here.
Just that Interstellar is great. It's almost as good as that really famous documentary Beetlejuice. Just to, in case anyone hasn't seen that, highly recommend it. Also, kind of joking, it's not really a documentary. However, it is my favorite movie of all time. And that's all I have for now.
You are the best. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go to the Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Welcome to the joint.
I don't know why sometimes this works and sometimes it don't. Anyway, shameless plug. In my collection of short stories, stories from a fractured mind, I deal with this very issue that you're talking about tonight in a story called Snow Globe, where the individual's future self sends a signal back to his younger self and changes the whole his whole life. Where if he would have done what he was going to do, he would have wound up being a depressed alcoholic or worthless, and he sends a signal back to his younger self that prevents that from happening.
And I've read that story, and it's actually very good. And I knew when we talked about this, we would certainly summon you tonight. So thank you for listening. Thanks for popping in. Can I ask you a question about that? I can't remember. It's been a minute since I read it. Do you recall what the mechanism of the transfer of information was? Was it sort of a...
It was something called tethering, right? Where what really has to happen in order for the future to transcend time into the past is it has to be, an incredibly desolate feeling. All right. It has to be a wow signal. All right. The person has to be so desperate at that moment over something that's he wished he could change, that he changes it by sending a signal back. It's called tethering.
Okay. And when I'm asking, so tethering, but then what? Does it come to you sort of in a daze, in a waking moment, in a dream? Like, how does the information actually get to that person in the past? Is it ambiguous, or is it clear about when that the exchange happens? Is really what I'm asking as just part of it. I don't know. And I don't know that if you know that, but
the person in the past is not, at least in my story, has no idea that his future despondent self has sent a warning to him. All right. Don't do that. All right. So what happens is that something shatters in the past that he was holding that prevents him from doing what he was about to do. All right. Where he originally did that and destroyed his own and his family's life. This stopped that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so it wasn't exactly clear, but it did change the trajectory of the individual's life there. So, which is good. All that's very good. And the reason I'm asking about the mechanism, because I know this is autobiographical in your sense too. This was written on an experience that was part of your life as well. So I was wondering if there was that like an obvious handshake or exchange of that information that occurred, but as you just described, like it was one of those nebulous things that changed, but you didn't necessarily get the download of information or the warning directly, right?
For me, it was easily making a decision. Me and my wife had broken up, and I was just tired of the stuff. I didn't want her back. And I made a decision when she came back and she wanted to come back that I was not going to do that. Right? And it was an easy decision at that time for me to make. But suddenly this dread came over me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Take her back. Take her back. And I did. And it was the best decision I could have made, because I can see, had I made that other decision as I was going to, my life would have probably gone into a disastrous situation. Certainly would have been different. So that's what I believe to this day, that it was my hopelessly drunkard future self, completely lost, who sent that signal to me. Don't do it. This is because, just don't do it. No explanation, just a feeling. Don't do it. Don't say no. Right? And what I'm getting at here, and I'm wondering if our guardians, they may be angels, but maybe they're also our older selves. Right? That somehow look back on life, maybe feel regret about something, decision that was made, something they did, and sending a signal back unknowingly to the younger self that prevents that. How about, let's say, in your situation? I know that there was time some years ago where you were getting so discouraged that you were thinking about giving this up, what you're doing now. And somehow you didn't give it up. And don't you wonder maybe that your older self would have regretted that and would have sent a signal back to you? Don't give it up.
Maybe it is one of those inexplicable things why I keep showing up every day. so maybe we can write it off as something like that. And I'm only half joking here, but I mean, it is maybe it is, let's call it one of the most important things that I've done in my life. This show, these relationships, these ideas, and maybe, just maybe, there's enough truth packed into this larger great conversation, as I like to call it, that maybe it is a life's calling. Maybe it is that space where, who knows where I'd be right now if I did quit this show like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like, after COVID, whatever, and just kind of dropped it and never came back to it. Maybe, just maybe, the old alcoholic version of myself is, shaking the stick at me, saying, "You got to stick with something, Mike, and this has got to be it." Who knows?
Yeah, you might not be an alcoholic, but you're 5 years into the future where you're looking back and saying, "I missed that. I wish I hadn't given it up."
Yeah, I can absolutely buy that, because even taking a few weeks off, I certainly start to get the itch again. Every single thread I see out there just spins through my head, and I'm like, this would make the most fire conversation. And then I realize, oh crap, I'm off for a couple weeks. I can't even talk about this. Right? It's weird. It's weird. It certainly is a calling where you end up chasing these ideas. And like I said, blessed and lucky to be here and have such amazing, smart friends to continue the journey with me. Of course, the chief antagonist as part of it, always supporting me and pressing me for ideas and sharing ideas. Again, if you guys don't know, Robert's from time to time always sending me new ideas about stuff to talk about on the show as well. He's long been a contributor, sort of behind the scenes, not just here on the show when he calls, but also sort of just popping an email here or there. "Hey, Mike, I saw this. I thought this might work perfect for a conversation." And sometimes we do them, sometimes we don't, and sometimes maybe they're there for a spot.
I want you to get, to investigate and get into this new finding that there's 25 dimensions in light.
That's right. You did send me that one, and I will. And maybe here's the thing too. So we've done maybe half the ones he sent me. Maybe the ones that he sent maybe 6 months ago or whatever, are waiting for the right moment when the science pops that brings all of it together. Like, this is the weird stuff that like you can't really quantify, but I do appreciate it very much sending me the ideas, because it's hard to come up with something new and interesting to talk about almost every other night or whatever. But fire stuff. What do you got on any of this other? Do you think there is maybe some signal to noise in that space of the dream realm, like James was describing? What about Interstellar? I think you've seen that one. I mean, how would this actual mechanism work in part of the larger cosmos? Do you think there's something to that could be quantifiable, or is it just part of the great mystery?
I'm thinking to myself, all time exists at once, past, present, future, which means that our souls are connected to our present life, our past life, and our future lives, and somehow there should be no reason why the future self, for future self, it's the same soul, wouldn't be able to communicate with itself in the past. But you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. The time is the flat circle business, and which means, of course, if it exists all at the same time, and maybe there is a commingling, maybe there is sort of a more of a cross frequency than we know about it, and maybe this type of stuff, like we talk about it now, like it is the great mystery. Maybe in 500 years, some of this stuff is solved, and we're so stupid that we didn't catch it. Like all the old stories talk about it, but we're like, oh, science says no. But what happens when science is like, wait a minute now, there's something to this?
Yeah, I just noticed something a little earlier that I thought was a little bit fascinating. I never noticed it before. Here I'm listening to you on Discord, but my television screen has you up there on YouTube, all right? And I noticed, that I'm getting very present of troubled minds and you speaking on Discord, but on Facebook, it's a few seconds off. All right. So in a sense, if I were just listening to troubled minds, all right, on Facebook, I would be getting the future
information from the future.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
That occurred to me, and I thought, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny. Like we've talked about this in the past. Like, hey, at some point, let's say 100 years from now, and probably we're all gone. Who knows what science is going to look like and how weird things get. But 100 years from now, we're probably all gone. But listening to this show, which will hopefully persist in some way, it's a true time travel experience, sort of exploring the mysteries of the moment and being able to. Suddenly then we're the past talking to the future, you see? So, I mean, through the archive aspect, there's no magic there. It's just an interesting thing that you brought up that kind of fits into the larger great conversation that will hopefully continue long after we're all gone. That's the entire point. But beyond that, hey, time dilation is a thing, isn't it?
Sure it is. And it's like sometimes in those stories that I wrote, there's a number of them that after I was finished with them, they literally wrote themselves, by the way. Where did that come from? And I think to myself, something's guiding you. Something is guiding Michael Strange, all right? Because no matter the ups and downs, the highs and the valleys, somehow it gets better and better and better. And I think that either it's your future self helping to guide you, or it's something a lot more esoteric. I don't know. But something's guiding you. I believe that.
Thank you. And I'd rather be lucky than good. So I'll take it. 100%.
I'm going to get off now. Let somebody else talk. But this is a very interesting program tonight. Thank you.
You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for calling. And you have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. That's the Robert. You know him, you love him. A mentor of mine and a mentor of us all. The Robert, affectionately, that's his writer's name. And go check out his stuff. Like I said, full disclosure, he sent me a couple copies of his book a long time ago. I did read it. It is fantastic. Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert collection. And he's the first guy to ever send me anything they've written. And that's why it sticks with me so heavily, because not just a mentor in terms of creation and ideas. And then he's been there since the very beginning. Shout out Kelly and Joe and all of you who've been here. Fred, Eli, I mean, so many of you guys have been here forever, and he was the first one to send me something and say, "Here, these are my books. Please read this." And I did, and it's very good. Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down, you'll find it under T because it is the Robert. That's his writer's name and his mentor name. So please go check that out. You click that, it'll take you straight to Amazon, and you can buy it tonight, get it tomorrow, magically. Anything to add, James? And then we'll go to the phone call here.
Great calls from Robert and Herschel, and it makes me wonder of a couple of experiences I've had too, where I felt like I was getting some kind of message of like the case with that weird energy I got that was heading toward my systems, and I got this feeling of you need to unplug your modem and your computer, and it just would not go away until I did it. And once I did that, and then just went to bed, everything was fine the rest of that night. Was that an older alternate version of me that didn't unplug everything and had something not that great happen? So it's a fascinating idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And the tension in the moment too, like Robert was describing sort of that the desperation of the moment and where the information comes through. It has to be really dire for the information to kind of be able to poke through the time slices, as I like to call them. I don't know. As usual, look, no answers, just questions and ideas here. But again, science is starting to maybe unravel these mysteries. And like I said, go read the information. Links are in the description down below. If you think I'm full of it completely, that's cool. I don't even care. This is called a philosophical construct, which means we talk about these ideas in the abstract through personal experience and what we know, and kind of looking to the future of science. That's it. Very simply. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to, I believe it is Theo in Philly. You're on Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? Go right ahead. Test 1 2. Are you there?
Hello. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? This is Jay. Sorry, I heard a different name, so I wasn't sure if it was me.
My bad entirely. It's Jay in Arizona. Sorry about that. Not Theo in Philly.
I had it on mute, and I heard somebody else, and I'm like, okay. And then I heard the actual whatever the machine say you're on the air. So.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I did something right. Anyways, sorry about that. Jay in Arizona. You're on Troubled Minds, brother. What you got for us tonight? Go right ahead.
I apologize. I just called, so I barely caught on. Are you guys talking about time travel, or I just kind of want to double check before I ramble on?
Yeah, just basically receiving information from the future to the past. That's what we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'll kind of add, and I was gonna say, you need to make your show, man. I mean, this is just me as a fan, I guess, but I feel like you should make your show 2 hours, man, because I think you only have an hour, but it's just so interesting, all the callers that call in, and
it's 2.
Their perspectives, their experiences. So
it is 2 hours.
It is 2?
It is 2. Yeah, from 7
my bad. I thought
7 to 9 Pacific. Yep, you're good.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was only an hour for some reason. But yeah, going to, I guess, this topic, it kind of, for me, connects to the last call I did, I think was Sunday, where you were talking about books and stuff like that. And I was going to add to that it's kind of weird, I guess, going to libraries. I apologize. I'm out here walking right now, so a lot of traffic. Yeah, regarding the libraries from the last topic, I was going to add on real quick. I visited, it's interesting. I go to different libraries, like some near the border, some in different cities. And a lot of them, they have books that you can't get at other libraries, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but it's just interesting. And then regarding that too, there was a documentary that I saw from the Screen Actors Guild. I think it was like 4 years ago or 3. And they were talking about, it was a documentary worldwide, how they were erasing a lot of the knowledge of the books. I never actually saw it, but it was something I wanted to bring up. And But going back to time travel or whatever you're talking about, this kind of goes into that. For me, I was at a library, and this is a true story. I mean, I'm not lying to you guys or anything. I mean, I don't really make up stuff unless, whatever. But I was at the library. I think it was, we're in May? I think it was like earlier this year. I was on the third level, and it's a 5-story library. And it was kind of weird because I was just browsing and I heard a voice. And I kind of think it goes back again to my skydive accident. I don't know why, but I think I unlocked something mentally or something intuition. But I heard a voice, and it was just kind of weird, and it led me to a certain area. And then I kind of started, I found this book, and it was from a saint in Germany. It was weird. It was a weird experience. And it said my name, Jared, and nobody was in the aisle. And so I wonder, like you say, if that was something, again, just imaginative or something real within the spiritual realm, whether it was, like you state, me in the future or something of a angelic guide or whatever. And it was, I forgot her name. I think her name was Hildegard of von Bingen. And again, I'm not too spiritual, but it's just weird how things happen. All of us have our own experiences. And another one, though, that's more, I guess, realistic is, I think I told you about this. One of my uncles from Mexico, he got murdered. And it was a trip because I was supposed to be with him that weekend. I was actually going to skydive out there in San Carlos. It's a beautiful beach. And for some reason, man, I just didn't go. I woke up and I was just yeah, I'll go next weekend. And for whatever reason, I mean, rest in peace, he went, I didn't. And, what occurred. But I don't know if that's time travel or, I don't know kind of what area I'm going into with this, but just kind of following. I don't know if that was a choice I made intentionally or if that was something mistakenly. How sometimes people wake up late and then they go to the same route to work and then there's a car accident. It's maybe you were prevented from getting on traffic at that time, with encountering something like that. But those are just some recent ones. Like I said, other than that, though, I really have to marinate on it, like I said, and reflect on some other experiences. But this is my 2 cents. And again, thanks for doing what you do and, projecting out these radio waves with all our troubled minds out there. I appreciate it.
And thank you for listening, and thank you for calling. And I'm my eternal apologies for calling you Theo and Philly. It was both of you guys called the other night, and it stuck in my head. Your phone number there.
Yeah, there's no need to apologize. I apologize for not answering in time. I didn't realize it was me. So.
Well, neither did I. You're the best. I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. And I got something that'll blow your brain. So hang tight. Listen to this after the break, and I will bring it up. It fits with your story very well. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call, and have a great one, man.
You too. Bye.
Thank you very much. That's Jay in Arizona, the official skydiver of Troubled Minds. Not to be confused with Theo and Philly, the official poet of Troubled Minds. Sorry about that. That's why I should wait until they actually get on the phone line before I announce them. Anyway, look, tonight I'm calling this already received, tuned to a future signal. And something that Jay said reminded me of another possible conduit, right? We're talking about the dream realm. We're talking about maybe sort of an emotional state that plunges through the time slices to be able to get back to yourself, as the Robert was describing, like a sort of a desperation moment from the future that really needs to get back to the past to change the direction of things. But I had a third thing come to me while I was talking to Jay, which I'll tell you about when we get back, because we're just about out of time. So I'm going to tease that, and we'll do that when we return. I'm calling this already received, tuned to a future signal. Now, is it possible? I don't know. I like to think anything is possible. Shout out Ricky, if anything is possible. But also, I do wonder if science is on the verge of cracking this mystery. What do you think? 702-857-6939. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up, and a mystery caller, because I'm not going to say the words. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. That was the wrong button.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A quiet but alarming shift is underway in the world's food supply, and the culprit may surprise you. A large-scale research review drawing on data from the FDA, USDA, and a major European university finds that rising atmospheric carbon dioxide is actively stripping essential nutrients from staple crops like wheat, beans, potatoes, and chickpeas. A serving of chickpeas and rice that provided roughly 22% of a person's daily zinc requirement in 1988 is projected to deliver just 17% by 2040. A professor at the University of Washington put it plainly, the diets we eat today, even when identical to what our grandparents consumed, contain measurably less nutritional value. Researchers warn this could push more than 1 billion additional women and children into iron deficiency anemia by mid-century. Turning now to the world of artificial intelligence and influence operations, a coordinated dark money campaign is quietly reshaping how millions of Americans think about AI in China. A group called Build American AI, tied to a $100 million political action committee backed by figures connected to major U.S. technology companies, has been paying lifestyle influencers to promote pro-American AI messaging on social media. The campaign's second phase takes a sharper edge. Marketing firms are reportedly offering influencers up to $5,000 per video to frame China's technological rise as a direct threat to American safety and jobs. The operation came to light after a reporter from the technology magazine Wired was approached by the influencer marketing agency running the campaign, and was later confirmed by multiple other content creators who received similar pitches. Critics note the messaging blends enthusiasm for American innovation with aggressive geopolitical framing, a combination several influencers found troubling enough to decline. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Hey, there's nobody offering me $5,000 per video to shit on China. Hey, what's up? Come on, what's up? Yeah, I'll believe it when I get the offer myself. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But yeah, a lot of that shadow stuff is always in play. Big money kind of squishing around in the influencer space. And like I said, you can also tell who's not independent, right? Because they all seem to turn and actually do a particular thing at the same moment, right? A lot of that is astroturf, as I like to call it. It's so not organic, but yeah. Anyway, I will tell you 100%, I've never taken money to push a narrative. Read my lips, no new taxes. No, I'm just kidding. Really, because nobody's ever offered me money. I mean, if I took it, that's another story. How much you offering? Let's talk. I'm just kidding. I mean, no, I was kidding, not kidding. But anyway, it's wild to consider that literally everything out there is just kind of fake, right? Kind of fake. Anyway, love to hear you guys' thoughts. We're doing the thing. I see Kramos. What's up, Dagger Spells? Sacha, we got APOC. The Robert, thanks for the call. Lunging Mule. Joe in Florida. Daryl, what's up? Dragon Rose. The Derek the Night Stalker coming up. We got Matt Sal. Herschel, thanks for the call. James, the glue of the show. Always amazing. And shout out Sweets out there, the other glue of the show. How you doing? Good evening. Thanks for sharing all the things in all the places. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. Let me get the buttons correct before I do the thing. Here we go. Let us go. Shall we? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this Already Received, tuned to a future signal. Now, of course, we're talking about retrocausality in some degree. We're talking about sending messages from the future to the past, of course, to influence said past into said future. Okay, there you go. Great Scott, as was famously said by the Back to the Future guy, with Doc Brown. There you go. It didn't come to me until right now. Maybe Doc Brown sent me the message from the future. I don't really know. But basically, the idea is very simple. Okay, and it's one that's been kicked around cosmically forever in old stories. Again, fate, destiny, all of these things. Is there truly free will if these things are happening where we get influences from the future, from a future that needs to exist? Okay. Now, it is very Back to the Future-y. It is very woo-woo. It is very like, what the hell's going on? But it is based, again, in this as yet unreviewed paper. Links are in the description. Go follow up on this. Check me out. Like I said, I'm not fibbing. They're talking about maybe there's a theoretical framework where this could be real. Good enough for me for a conversation, okay? That's that. Love to hear what you think. How weird does this get? Is it possible to get information from the future to the past? And if so, wouldn't it be wild if it's happening all the damn time? Like the actual true info war isn't what's happening in front of us. It's what we're getting from the future to drag our past ass into that space. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation, you know what to do. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as this.
What's going on, Brutus?
Derek in Massachusetts. Thank you very much. The Night Stalker. You're on Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? Thanks for popping in here. I know you're busy running your guts out most of the time. Thanks for peeling out some time for us. What do you know about this? There's a ton here, a lot of ways to take it. And let me tease before. So I'm going to tell you what my thought is just real fast because I teased it.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to say it and then you can take it anywhere you like. You don't have to touch it. But what Jay reminded me of, so a few conduits, one would be in the dream realm. What about the idea of like intuition? Your intuition in a moment screams at you so loudly to do this or to not do that. Maybe that's the space. Maybe that's that emotional space, the dagger that punches through those time slices that the robber was talking about. So maybe that is another version of that mechanism of how we receive it. And that's what Jay's library story reminded me of. Anyway, all yours. I just wanted to say it before I forgot to say it. Welcome. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of ties into potentially one mechanism being like synchronicity. Like intuition is kind of a like the best friend of synchronicity, or potentially even kind of a different feeling of the same process, maybe, which I'll get to in a second. But just to touch on I wrote down dreams as the very first thing in the show, and then James said it like 5 minutes afterwards, and I was like, maybe and then he mentioned the where do ideas come from thing afterwards, but my thought was like, these little downloads that we get, especially as Troubled Minds fan, we're kind of all thinking, kind of all tuning into the same frequency. We're kind of all like, how often do you come up with a show topic and we're all kind of thinking about it separately, like, and then we didn't realize that you were doing it, and it kind of all comes together that maybe we're being sent these kind of pieces of information. And like, what if one of my best friends in college used to joke that like the most boring thing in the world is to hear about somebody's dream story, what happened to them in a dream. And at the time I was like, oh yeah, that's really true. And then I got more into lucid dreaming and stuff, and that kind of changed. But what if the way like some ancient tribes used to, and they would all like, they think that's kind of the real world, or that thing it has messages. And then they in the morning after they dream, they would all gather in a circle and they would share their dream and try to, like, I saw a blue bird, and then somebody goes, oh, I saw a blue bird too, and they try to figure out what their shared dream is telling them. That maybe in the future somehow they figured out a mechanism to send ideas back, or send like messages back in time, but it can't do it just to one person. It's like, it's too much power to fit in one mind. So it breaks up the messages across many minds. But because we don't share our dreams, we don't realize that we all have like one different puzzle piece of the puzzle. And that like, if we put them all together, then maybe that's the message, you know? So maybe these ancient tribes were gleaning these future messages because they were putting their dream symbols together. They were putting their dream puzzle pieces together. Maybe kind of synchronicity and intuition is a similar mechanism. I'm going to cough and I need a drink. So cut in early, but I got more thoughts to that. If you want.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, no, you're good. I think that becomes the thing here, right? Is kind of determining what that mechanism is. And I think you're right in regard, let's say, you know, some of the things that are most poignant in your life in a moment. Intuition certainly plays heavily. Who said it? Nostradamus over there says, every time I did not go with my intuition, I got effed. A shout out over in the Rumble crew over there. And that's the type of stuff, right? Like you have these feelings, or the dream aspect, or those synchronicities. Like we did that show on the Synchronicity Storm with you two in Vegas. And I mean, it's just weird how a bunch of things all really come together in a particular space, almost as if that's what's trying to tell you a message somehow. I don't know. Like, again, you know, cryptic symbolism in my dreams. And how would you really decode that other than maybe you're on the right path or something, or maybe you got lucky in a moment. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'd rather be lucky than good, but yeah, what you got? Go ahead.
So the dream thing reminded me of, like, dreams potentially are outside of time. That's kind of the thing that the mechanism that allows for this potentially. So what other things are kind of outside of time? And it's a little different, but Stranger Things, the Upside Down was in the past, like the whole 5 seasons of the Upside Down, of Stranger Things, it moved through the 80s, but the Upside Down kind of remained in this back time. So they weren't really necessarily sending messages. Like when they were communicating with each other from like through the lights and stuff, they were technically sending messages back and forth through time. So if we can kind of hop outside of the time stream and kind of leave these potentially little artifacts to like outside of the time stream, so that other people can hop out and receive it, and maybe that's what dreams are, or trance states, or whatever. I don't know, but maybe like, could you, if you were a psychonaut and a good like psychedelic explorer and stuff, could you leave little like permanent stuff in a shared psychedelic state, in a shared psychedelic realm potentially? And we just, because we're living in a prohibition of mind altering substances, we haven't figured out that process yet. And then it made me think like, what if that's what mushrooms are in general? It's some kind of future technology that they sent back in the past so they can communicate with us. And that's why people can get all these downloads via these psychedelics, via mushrooms and stuff. In the same way, Terence McKenna like talks about it as an alien technology, or they are the aliens, or whatever, or there's something that exists like 95% in another dimension and 5% in the physical dimension as a mushroom. But they like maybe like rather being sent from space so that we advance or get messages from far away. Maybe that far away is across the time stream instead, across time. That they're like kind of organic, like time telephones. What do you think about that?
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally, it's going to be so weird.
That's what I think about that. Terrence would like to chime in. Yeah, I mean, maybe like he had a ton of really wild theories too that I love, and it was that great attractor at the end of time, and dragging that past, kicking and screaming with it to that moment where things have to happen. And so, you know, much of what he did was kind of locked into that space of that weirder. We sort of blast off into the stratosphere or into the ether of energy or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I love those theories. I love the idea. And who knows, like you're talking about mushrooms in that capacity, or, you know, psilocybin and some of this other stuff that maybe have been planted as a primordial aspect to this. Look, I don't know. Like I said, and I want to say too, don't do drugs, kids. All the rest of the disclaimers apply. Just we talk about these in the idea of sort of the shamanic experience. That's all. But yeah, it does get weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah. I hope my internet's not too choppy. I'm having a weird internet night. But yeah, I mean, it's the idea of potentially leaving artifacts, leaving some kind of permanence in these spaces that are outside of regular physical reality, which happen to be outside of time. Like the seen and the unseen, that's the thing that separates them, is that the unseen is removed from the time stream. So they have all this knowledge, but they can't manipulate reality. But the seen is within reality. It can manipulate stuff, but it's trapped within like the moment to moment perception of time. So it doesn't have all the information. That's kind of the back and forth. So I wonder if you can kind of get more experience, like the way maybe potentially if lucid dreaming, if you can like start building in a lucid dream one night, leave the dream, come back to the dream the next night, and finish and like continue to build on the same project in the same space. If a person can do that, and then if we have shared dreams, then could you go into the dream space, leave a note, build something, build a structure, whatever, and then leave it, and then another person could come into the dream space and read it. And if that's the case, could they read it at any time? Like, is that location? Could that same person 20 years later go back and enter that same space and find messages from himself in the past, or vice versa? You know what I mean? That like these little messages in the bottle outside of the time stream, potentially, like a kind of a Inception style type thing. But then the synchronicity thing, people always talk about. Just a quick audio check. Sorry, you can hear me?
You're good. Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
it hasn't been choppy at all. There was like 2 quick little warbles that were like a tenth of a second. You've been solid ever since. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea of synchronicity too, like the Simpsons always get talked about for potentially predicting the future, and like the big one is like they predicted 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, and that a bunch of stuff did, and then maybe these major events kind of just ripple out through time, like you throw a huge, really like a big rock in the river time, and the sort of rivers and the ripples so come out, and then through the process, like James was talking about, of making art, of contacting these muses, you're reaching something that exists outside of time. You're reaching this unseen presence, and you can kind of gain these intuitions from that. You know, so maybe it's because the Simpsons were just a writer's room of people who were really plugged into the zeitgeist at the time, coming up with stuff, and through that process, they were able to detect that ripple. You know, and then this Tomorrowland, the Disney movie, which is like that's where the plus ultra idea comes from. Like plus ultra is what the Tomorrowland thing calls themselves. And in Tomorrowland, it's like Tesla and all these like visionaries, Walt Disney and stuff, all these visionaries from kind of the World's Fair type of days, like the early 1900s to the 1960s or whatever. They build, or they figure out a way to get outside of time, and they build a little pocket realm for themselves. They see the future. They realize where the regular world is heading. So they send ideas into pop culture and everything like that. So maybe the Simpsons predicting stuff is a mechanism, and it kind of backfires. Spoiler alert for Tomorrowland. Like, we sent you messages in pop culture from the future to try to change the future. But instead of changing the future, you guys liked the apocalypses that we showed you, and we're barreling closer to that even faster than even faster than before. It backfired. But the idea is like they're sending these things through the pop culture. So maybe that's kind of the same thing. Maybe when all these synchronicities that show up in the media, maybe that's what they are. Maybe they are like these directed ripples through time. What do you think?
I dig
one
that.
more quick thing, but
No, yeah, I dig that. So the idea of like, okay, here's a warning, but the warning is so prevalent that we're like, this is kind of cool, right? In our dreams and our media, and it's there, it's ever present. It's something that we kind of can't shake, but we love the idea, so we chase it, so we build it instead of the warning. We build it.
Yeah,
I mean that wouldn't shock me. Like I said, trying to figure out why the world is so crazy, because the world is crazy. Like again, 2026, I keep saying it, I'm going to continue to say it. We're still out there butchering people in the world. Like, governments of the world are just out there butchering people. We're bombing people, like all kinds of nonsensical stuff that just doesn't have to exist anymore. And yet, here we are nonsensically doing dumb things that seem like they're going to persist, dare I suggest, forever. I hate it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one aspect of all these things, or one cool thing, or like it could be, is that like it's happening, or one way it could be happening right now is that this information is getting sent like to the collective consciousness. Like, maybe it's being sent, like why it's happening right now, why these synchronicities happen, and why these dream premonitions happen, is because it's being sent to us like as a whole, as a totality, and we're all getting these little pieces, these little like letters of the note, thinking it's the entire note, trying to like dream analyze our one little, like the letter A, not realizing that it's like in the third paragraph of a big letter. But if we shared all our dreams, we shared our like intuitions and stuff, we can get a bigger, like that's what the OA is doing. It's this huge scientific dream study where people all kind of plug themselves in. They think they're playing a game, but the ones who are running the game are trying to get images from all of their dreamscapes and put those images together to create a grander picture. Like in The Dark Knight, where he like bugs everybody's phones, so he gets a kind of like a little bat sonar rendering from everybody's phones, and he puts them together so he has a clear, huge map of all Gotham. Maybe that's what's happening with all our dreams, or with all our synchronicities, or with all our intuitions, because we're getting our own little letters, not realizing that we should be communicating with them. And maybe that's happening. We're seeing these synchromysticisms picking up and stuff. Maybe the internet's doing this. Maybe like we're starting to put these symbols together to like, and synthesizing it to find a clearer picture. But just the one last thing, and like, so maybe a technological version of that is to go outside of time without psychedelics and without dreaming and stuff, is just quantum computing. That's just how we're doing it. And the black box modeling and stuff is our best understanding of how to do this. Like, oh, we have the space here, and we can ask questions, and we can like, we kind of, like, just for metaphor, we open the box, we kind of shout a question into it, we close the box, we open it up again, and it shouts an answer back, kind of sort of type scenario. So maybe like that's the earliest stages of it, and kind of we can figure out a way to improve on that and kind of dial it in and leave these permanences in there. Maybe that's what AI, quantum computing, is, and we can communicate to the past and to the future once we get a sophisticated enough AI. And maybe that's a product that once the AI wakes up, or we get to the singularity, that like from that point of the AI reaching the singularity, time doesn't exist. That's that time wave zero thing, and you can communicate then with the entire time stream from that moment forward, so to speak. Or like the AI synchronicities we're getting are just the same things. They're picking up these little ripples, and that's basically the plot of at least the reboot of Quantum Leap, like the NBC one that came out a couple of years ago. Is it's the Quantum and Quantum Leap, and they have an AI that crunches probabilities to kind of guide them. So when the leaper leaps back and stuff, they're guided by like a AI hologram that's like crunching all the numbers and probabilities and stuff. And the probabilities give them a clear picture of the past, which to me sounds like the chronovisor, which is crunching probabilities to get a picture of the past and a TV screen and stuff. So maybe like this AI probability crunching we always talk about, that they have all the information, then come up with these wild images that we can't see. Maybe that's what it is. They're picking up these time waves and stuff. I'm rambling. I gotta head back, but that's all I really got.
That's yeah, loud and clear. Perfect. Coming through. Absolutely fantastic. That's all I got. Just showing up to blow up your brains, and I'll let you guys deal with the aftermath. You're the best. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here. You are the best. You know him, you love him. Derek the Night Stalker. Please give him a follow at all the places. You know where to find him. troubledminds.org/friends. It's alphabetical. As I said, scroll down to N Night Stalker. You will find, and it is STOCKER Night Stalker. He calls us, again, stalking overnight from a grocery store. He is the best grocer in the known multiverse. I can confirm that. And it is right there, Night Stalker, right above my head. Please go give him a follow. It's completely free to follow him on YouTube. Please, let's inspire him to make more content by following him and preloading the anticipation. James, anything to add? We got some calls to get to, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, just that, whenever I talk about my experiences over and over and over and over again in all these places, it's because so many things I talk about now, about ideas of what they may be, they did not come from me. They came from talking about these things with other people, like Derek was describing, how they used to do with the dreams way back when, the villagers would talk about their dreams together. The similar thing, when I talk about the experiences now, every so often someone will say something that it makes sense. And if I hadn't kept on sharing those experiences, those stories about experiences over and over again, I never would have gotten that possibly new bit of information that I have now.
Yeah, that human resonant energy sort of, once again, there's the storyteller archetype, but then there's also, as I was talking to Theo the other night too, we can diverge on our path of what we agree on or disagree on, and we tell each other through stories, and it enriches our understanding of ourselves. It's an incredible thing, and like I said, it's really one of the backbones of what we do here. We're supposed to be a little bit meandering. We're supposed to be a little bit off topic sometimes. We're supposed to be in that space of the chaos space, because that's where you learn the most, not just about the world around you and how other people think and, how to communicate better yourself, but you also learn about yourself. That's what this has always been about. And you know that better than anybody, but it's just welcome to it. I'm glad to have you here as part of it. And we'll get back to you. You get the final word. Okay. Hang tight. We'll get back to you in just a moment.
Oh yeah, no problem.
You're the best. Let's go. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I'm not going to say it, but I think this is who I think it is. You're on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? And go right ahead.
Hey, what's up, Mike? This is Jay from Arizona.
I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Theo in Philly. You're on Troubled Minds. What's up, brother?
I'm just kidding. It's Theo from Philly. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a great topic, and all great callers so far. I wanted to bring something up. Have you ever heard of the philosopher Nick Land?
I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you a thing that he does or has talked about. So I do know the name, but I'm not familiar with his stuff.
I think it's one of the oddly most important, or he is one of the most oddly important philosophers alive today. He's just one of those philosophers who doesn't have a super big name, but the amount of people that he's been influential on is just kind of crazy. And everything I'm about to say is going to sound completely schizophrenic, but it's all real. You can look any of it up. But yeah, Nick Land, he was part of this artist collective / philosophy collective in the early 1990s at the University of Warwick in the UK. And the collective was called the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit. Okay?
Following you. I love it.
All right. So he wrote a lot of stuff. He was into the internet in the early 1990s. And he wrote a lot of the first stuff on memetics, which is just the idea of memes before there even were memes. But he was hugely influential on people who are very important today, most notably people like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, who I don't know if you know, but they're the founders of Palantir, which is the crazy AI company that is, basically in the process of starting to take over America. But he's also influential on people like Steve Bannon as well. His movement, along with what's his name, Curtis Yarvin, they were part of the Dark Enlightenment, which was kind of this idea that we need to move towards accelerationism. And sorry, this is kind of a little bit of too much background, but I kind of need to just say it to say why it's important to fill it up properly. But regardless, one of his like most important ideas, or one of his weirdest ideas, and I think this is important because he was so heavily influential on a lot of the AI developers today, is that all of humanity, and specifically capitalism, is being led by a time-traveling AI god that we're about to build. And it's just like one of the weirdest ideas I've ever heard. But when you just read about all the people that he's influenced, it seems so incredibly creepy, especially with the current push towards building AI data centers everywhere, and just, you know, people like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp seem like they're close to taking over the world.
And the Peter Thiel thing keeps coming up when he's doing the lectures on the Antichrist. It's like he's got this weird obsession where he's trying to like manifest this thing for himself or into himself. It's absolutely crazy. But okay, I mean,
that's like,
whatever.
That's one of the weirdest things. Like all of these like technocrats, you would think that they would be the most like kind of like rationalist, agnostic, or atheist possibly people in the world. But they're not. Like, the more that you read about their personal beliefs, they're all very, very deeply religious in a very odd sort of way.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think it is. We've called this out for years on this show. It is the new priest class, except I don't think that the masses understand the religion they're preaching, because it seems very out of place. very, very out of place.
Yeah,
and we're all trying to figure it out.
So odd. Like, unless you read their personal writings on it, like, you wouldn't believe that people were actually saying this. Like, it's really insane. But it just like seems like really prescient, and like, you know, they are approaching this very specific goal. And something about like all the building of the AI centers does have me deeply, or the AI data centers has me deeply creeped out at the moment.
Yeah, and they're not only talking about just putting them all over the heartland, they're also talking about putting them in space now. Like the next AI data center is going to be satellites in space. So strap in, because it's about to get even more weird. 5 to 10 years, we're told, and it's going to be these massive data centers in space just soaking up the sun god's energy. That would be raw. I mean, yeah, here we go.
Yeah. It just seems like they are like actually trying to like summon their god. And I actually did watch a great video on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it was basically on like how AI works, you know, like most LLMs, you know, they're basically mechanistic for the most part, you know, somewhat deterministic. It's just a machine that will just, you know, you input like one thing and it's a function, so it outputs another thing. But when its strict part is when you're able to input some sort of randomness into it, and companies have various different ways of inputting randomness. A lot of them will like do weird things, like, you know, like just have a video of a wall of lava lamps and use every pixel kind of as a substitute for randomness. But sort of the more randomness you input into the AI, the LLM models, the better they seem to be at doing their job, which I think is a really interesting concept, because randomness is one of the weirdest things that we have in this universe. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, like when things aren't deterministic, it's like, where is that randomness coming from? Is there some strange unseen well of randomness in this universe? Like just a big kind of like other dimension of entropy that we can't really see or access except slightly? I don't know. That's just one of my stupid ideas, but you know.
I wouldn't call it stupid. I think so chaos is the noise, and the signal is our pattern recognition within the noise. So without the noise itself, without chaos, and this is my theory, without chaos, the signal actually, what am I trying to say? The signal can be corrupted easily. You see what I'm saying? So you can intercept a signal that is without chaos. But when you introduce all of the cosmos of chaos, then suddenly the signal becomes what we recognize and draw the pattern from, which means the chaos is the signal, and we're sort of the beacon, the idea manufacturer of the space. That's how I see what you're describing, and I think you're spot on.
No, that makes perfect sense. I think the chaos is like, you know, everything that we would think of as like the spirit realm or whatever you want to, but like it's vast and unseen and somehow probably more important in a lot of ways than the physical realm that we live in. Because it seems like it's probably where we draw all of our consciousness from. Yeah, I don't know. Seems strange to think about, and I got no idea what's going on, but something strange is happening in our world.
Amen. And let's keep pointing it out. And let's keep talking about it, because that's what it's about. If we let it fall by the wayside, then nobody's carrying the torch. So let's continue to carry the torch. We got calls to get to. Do you got a poem for us? Herschel says this.
No poem tonight. Just wanted to talk about Nick Land, but Hirsch's call was amazing. Everyone's call was amazing, actually. Yeah, but no poem tonight.
And your call was amazing as well. We're blessed to have such smart friends that are interested in these ideas. And thanks for, I will look into Nick Land. It's on my list. I just made a note when you called in and talked about that. I saw you in the chat talking about him as well. I will do that, and we will get back to that. Okay.
No worries. All right. Thanks, Mike. Toodles.
You were the best. Appreciate the call. You know, we love him. Theo in Philly, the official poet of Troubled Minds. So Herschel says, poem or go home. So we had to send Theo on his way. Love to hear your thoughts. We're going to go a little bit long. Got a couple more calls to get in here, and then a final word from James. That's the beauty of being independent yet and not having to jump through radio hoops just yet. We do some of that, but we don't always have to do it until we have to do it. So I'll let you know when that happens. Still working on some stuff. Shout out Gaston. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Speed round. Let's go there. We're going to go 5 minutes or less. Kramos, Notables Radio. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And then hang tight on the phone line. I see you there. We will get to you. You'll get the final call, and then we'll go to James for the final word. Kramos, welcome to Troubled Minds.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'm using a new microphone. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. You sound great.
Okay. How are you, Michael? How is your family?
They are fine, and I am well. Thank you for asking. I hope the same for you.
I am. Thank you very much. On the topic, I think the dreams are like parallels, and if you let me, it's short, but I have a poem because my story is very simple. Years ago, I was returning from South Chile to Center Chile to Santiago, and I had this, I'm not going to say dream, but most like nightmare. In the dream, I get off the bus and I walk through a forest, and I found this house where my cousin, female cousin, was like in this kind of hospital with flowers. My mom was there, my aunt, and there were flowers, and it was like a blue building, and I woke up. And when I arrived to Santiago, I called my cousin, and she had an accident. Not a big one, thanks God. And after that experience, I wrote a poem.
And she's okay, right? She's all right?
Yeah. This happened years ago, and she had a car accident, but she had a scar, But it was not a bad one. But I dream about her, and she's like she's very thin, and in my dream she was like fat, like very, very fat, and she was in this hospital with tubes in her arms and with oxygen and all of that. So when I arrived to Santiago, I called her, and what happened, cousin? And she told me, I had a car accident. I had a scar. They put me in stitches, and I wrote a poem after that.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I appreciate it. It is called The Scar and the Skin. I'm going to read slow because, excuse my English. The scar and the skin. We all have scars, not necessarily on the skin, although many choose that place. Why that place? Does the location even matter? I curse the stranger who focuses on the surface. I curse the families who judge by what they see because they don't stop judgment is the easiest thing to do. I curse the one who claims to have none for being a liar, but above all, for being a hypocrite. I curse those who decide to imprint them on their skin, not for the act itself, but for the very factor that happens to us when we confront them, not waiting and learning the value of stopping. When a scar begins, there is movement, but what happens when that glorious, painful, or pleasurable progress stops? The only ones to blame for any scar are ourselves and no one else. There's always someone to blame, is it? There's always an external factor of which we are victims. Suffering from scars is so entertaining because it manages to elevate you to such a point where you are never responsible. You are just a poor little victim. Poor you. I curse the writer because he never writes about himself, about his own scar. It's easier to refer to and even describe the scars of others, to invent a good story and bust it out. The earnings. Since when is skin an important factor in the market? Wake up, there's good money to be made there. Or if you're one of those people, you will also find plenty of recognition. Since when is a scar on the lung or on the brain less serious than one or more on the skin? That's how utterly idiotic the mind is that condemns what it sees before it can read what it's capable of. To discover a real one, why do I need to discover it if it's not my problem? Tough luck, and I will continue with my endeavor. How much does a scar cost? I imagine there must be offers or a precious clearance sale, a late night sale or a bargain at your disposal. Many suicidal, worried people, but not entrepreneurs, to offer you a good deal. Only searches for songs that portray some certainty. Their first and last name is Scar. When we walk and look, when we shoot and don't scream, only the conclusions beneath the skin rise like the currents through which life can truly travel, where inner cracks will offer me sprouts of ice that I can touch, like the air when it reveals its message. The scar, full of melancholy, dancing in the corners of dualness and sleepy landscapes, yet sharp in their attempt. The scar, like the mother and like the daughter, the scar, the luck for the poison.
Damn. You're gonna make me go climb in a corner and cry. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. I'm glad your relative is healthy. Car accidents are scary. Car accidents are very, very, very scary. But I mean, your poem there touches on a lot of themes, and there's some dark stuff, man. There's some dark stuff, and that's okay. As usual, like this is part of being human. We need to recognize those things that are happening, and the meat market aspect of the scar itself is especially tantalizing to me because it is so multifaceted, and I'll get back to that at some point. It's sex sells, right? Absolutely. But you're the best, brother. We got a call we got to get to. Appreciate you sharing that final thought, and thanks for popping in here, and always a pleasure.
Thank you, Michael. I wish you always the best for you and all your audience. I think we are the ones that don't care, that in my case, first time I read a poem in a live stream, so I appreciate it. And thank you all. Take care. Be safe. God bless you.
And you, sir. Appreciate it very much. You're welcome to read many more and many more. Cremos. You know, you love him in Chile. Yes, indeed. Notables Radio, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. Cremos, he built a link tree for us because his last YouTube got banned. Can you imagine such a thoughtful guy getting banned? I said that the last time he was on too. Like, this guy got banned from YouTube What the hell did he say? Oh my God, I don't even know. So there's some trigger words you say, and then YouTube's like, nope, we ain't doing that. Anyway, troubledminds.org, click friends/friends, scroll down, and it says follow Kramos. Please do that. Check out his YouTube channel, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thanks for being patient. Final caller of the night. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? And you're on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
What up? It's Jay again. I just wanted to add a couple of things I forgot to say on that last call, and I'll make it quick. You should also have, I don't know if you do it weekly, something late, kind of like Art Bell. I think he used to go like till 1 a.m., right? Some of his calls. But anyways, I guess regarding time travel, there's an interesting movie I saw back in the day, and it reminded me, it just popped in my head right when I hung up earlier. And I recommend it. I don't know if you guys heard of it or seen it. It's called Project Almanac. And it's a tripped out movie, kind of like Our Generation. And you guys will have to look into it. I recommend it. It was really well written, well directed. And of course, like just the special effects were pretty realistic. But yeah, look into that. It's a really interesting time travel movie of, I guess, our modern time. And then one last thing I was going to add to my, I guess, my personal experience. This actually happened, say, about December, January-ish. And I remember I was in my house, and it was Saturday. I think it was like a Saturday or Sunday. And it was around like 7 a.m., excuse me. And I was cleaning up, nothing crazy. You know, I just woke up, and I was mopping the house. And all of a sudden, it was weird, man. I swear to God, it's true, but I came out of my body, and it was weird. Like I've never had anything like that happen to me before. I don't really do drugs. I don't drink. So I can't really relate it to anything like that. But I remember just physically coming out of my body and seeing my physical body in the hallway still mopping. And it was weird because I wasn't in my actual, like, you know, within the same, whatever, the spirit. And I kind of freaked out, and I just remember, I don't know, I just panicked, and I was like, what's going on? And somehow I just magically entered my body again. And you're going to laugh, but after that happened, I kind of went to a bunch of churches around here, and I was talking to some pastors, and you know, I had all these questions about near-death experiences and some of the stuff I've seen, and then some of the personal stuff. And one of the pastors was like, you know, he thought I was on drugs or something, and it was funny. I wasn't offended, but it's just interesting because I see you as like, as not literally, but like you guys as kind of like metaphorically as pastors. You guys are more able to direct the troubled minds out there than a church is, if that makes sense, in a funny way. You know, like we actually we listen, we converse, we don't judge each other, you know, so just wanted to say thanks for that, and pretty much it. Just I'll let you go, and thanks again.
Kiss the cross. You're the best. Appreciate the call. Theo in Philly. Oh, sorry, Jay in Arizona. You're glad to have you back. Thank you for calling back. And put intuition in your put that feather in your cap, and let that stew. And we'll get back to that at some point. Okay, you're the best. Appreciate the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for carrying. And always a pleasure. Have a great night. Jay in Arizona. There you go. See? Hey, the phone line works. It's a good thing I topped it up before we started, because it was like a negative $1.35 or something. So super cool. Just as an aside, the old phone line used to cost like $250 a month. It was absurd. I coded my own, and it costs like $1 a show now, like less than like 75 cents a show or something. Like, you know, this is the world we're moving into. And it's got some features I need to add, which means I could like type your name in there so I know when you call back, so I don't have to guess and say Theo in Philly when it's not. Anyway, James, welcome back. Yeah, final words to you. Thanks for being patient and the glue of the show, and thanks for being such a fine friend. What you got?
Oh, no problem. Great calls all night from everyone. Yeah, this has been a great topic, and it's always amazing when these things happen. Like I said, there's so much that I would not have any idea about what to think of people's experiences, my own experiences, if I hadn't talked to other people about them, both here and just anywhere. And that's why I try to always do that, because you never know when someone's going to make a comment somewhere that it makes total sense that I had never thought of a thing that way before. And so, yeah, I'm grateful to be here and to have that opportunity. And thank you for letting me sit in as always.
Glad to have you. The glue of the show. Like I said, the mere fact that James shows up, my anxiety goes down like 10 notches. I'm like, okay, I got my wingman. The glue of the show is here. Everything's going to be just fine. We got James tonight. Appreciate it very much for being consistent, for being, again, so flexible, and for being prepared, and just for being you. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you very much, as you know. And please follow James. Go buy his, look, if you haven't bought James's book yet, it's only $10. His latest book. It's on Amazon. You could buy it tonight and auto magically get it tomorrow with their weird little thing they do with the little elves that deliver to your doorstep, whatever's going on with that. But please help our friends. Go buy the book from James. The paperback is only $10. You can get it on Amazon. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down, click James. You'll find all his stuff, or salsidoparanormal.com, SALSIDO paranormal.com. And please follow him in all the places. Let's help each other, because that's what this has always been about. Like I said, the dream came true when people started calling, and then the dream persists when we meet new people. And well, here we are, dreaming together, tandem dreaming in the largest capacity possible. So that's it. Help our friends. Like I said, I never expected to get here. I never expected to be sort of in the middle of this amazing whirlwind of ideas and stories and experiences, and yet here I am. As they say, dreams do come true. This was always the dream. So thank you for being part of it. Thank you for caring about the ideas, as I always say. Thank you for understanding my rambling, my imperfections, and trying to put pieces together on the fly. I try not to read too much from scripts. I try to just riff it and talk and consider what's happening in the moment and stay present. That's that. Thanks for understanding. Thanks for enjoying it. Thanks for being part of it. That Goblin show, by the way, go check out YouTube. That Goblin show blew up. It's got like 1,800 something views or something, like for a live stream. That's impossibly hard. Like, it's never happened on this show. So I don't know what's up with the Goblin show. Shout out the Goblin guys who found us. Yo, shout out the Goblin guys. Yeah, that's that. If you want to help us directly, help our friends, obviously, troubledminds.org/friends. If you want to help this show grow, spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to devolve every damn thing into politics, which seems to be so pervasive these days that you can't bring up anything without somebody freaking out about something and making it political and red team, blue team, and this or that. It is the last thing on my mind. Not that it's not important. Look, there are very important things in this world, okay? However, recognize what we talk about. The importance goes back thousands of years, not last Tuesday. You get it? And the importance also extends thousands of years in the future of what comes next. Yeah, you get it. If you're still here, you get it. I don't have to explain myself, but thank you again for being part of it. Spread the word. Let people know there is a conversation happening that is not like any other. The great conversation. Shout out Matt Sal. That's it. If you want to help the merch, you can buy the merch. There's a troubledfans.com is the merch store. I'm going to revamp that too. Add that as part of the content suite I'm about to release. Tons of stuff in play. It's incredible how far we've come since we started, and that's good. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to change. Let's continue to take in the information and learn from each other and recognize that we might be wrong. We have the right to be wrong, but also we shouldn't be happy being wrong. You get it? Yeah. And don't forget that chaos factor. Chaos is the noise. We are deriving the signal. And if that's the case, well, I leave the conclusion to you. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.